Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
Oh my God, that's so good. Anyways, V, well, you know what time it is. It's that time to talk about the Bachelorette on our show.
That it is. That it is.
Where do we start this week? Week 3.
All right.
I like this episode. Like, you know, I'm just going to say off the bat, Michelle is impressing me because
Michelle is a kick-ass lead.
Yeah.
I love her.
I like it. I like it a lot because, you know, what pisses me off the most about any lead, actually, I'm not just saying guy or girl, is the fact that, like, when it's so obvious in your face that there's red flags and people, like, you just still giving people chances for what? Drama? Like, it makes you look bad if you hold someone around. So, like, that just...
Well, you know, it's not always, like, her decision.
Well, sometimes... I don't know. I'm trying to think of like who I'm thinking of specifically that kept someone. What season was it where that one guy that I think was from Atlanta that everyone hated, some blonde guy that was like jacked. I'm trying to think what season.
Oh,
it was what's her name season?
It was Hannah Brown season. It was God, what was his name? He made it all the way to the end, and then like
I forgot what his name is. Look at us.
You got the first impression rose. I really try to block him out of my brain because he's like just such trash.
Right, but that made me think like Hannah Brown was one of the worst bachelorettes I've ever seen. So just seeing her keep him around for so long, and he was obviously.
I mean, and then she even chose Jed at the end, anyways.
Oh, man,
like
the worst season.
Fucking up left and right.
But anyway, so where do we start with everything?
Well, the first group date is just a humongous promo for the Top Gun Maverick movie.
Yep.
That is coming out, including 2 hot actors from said movie. Mm-hmm. Not mad about it, but
well, I knew the one. I knew the black guy, like kind of. I've seen him before, but the white guy was like, man, they just picked some random good-looking guy to kind of take the new, you know, Tom Cruise role here. And but yeah, I noticed that too. I'm like, this is definitely just Top Gun all the way. What was the date about?
So, you know, they're like at a little like air hangar. They give each other their nicknames. You know, we've got Doughboy for Pizza Boy Peter. We've got Lil Willie for Will, who is his proclaimed nemesis, I suppose.
It's like I love how they called him Little Willie.
I know. They all get their funny little names. They all do like a nice little slow-mo walk in their little jumpsuits, looking fine. And then they all have to like do some G-forces and like the little spinny thingies that you see whenever you would see the old promos for like Space Camp. Do you remember those?
Yeah,
like the
no.
promos.
I don't like spinny things. I don't like feeling nauseous, you know, but you know, they were sweating like right off the bat. It was crazy.
Well, and like then they were supposed to, you know, be confessing their feelings for Michelle while being hit in the face with G-forces.
How come we didn't see everyone go? I feel like
because I don't know.
I mean, you would think you would have like a compilation of seeing everyone kind of doing it, but like it just seems like maybe they just picked the people that actually reacted the most out of it or got sick the most. But I feel like I didn't see everyone go, which I would feel like
it just seems like a bunch of whiplash to me. Like I was like, this can't be good.
No, but I don't know how that would be G-force like related. Like, you know, I don't know, but I just think you get real like spun around real crazy.
I mean, it is G-forces because of like how it moves and stuff.
I guess. But anyways, so yeah, Doughboy goes first, and he, you know, starts saying stuff in Italian, and you know, they were all impressed by that. And then you know, Little Willie goes up next, and he's like, you know, really kind of stressing, but he holds it together and says some sweet things in Spanish and essentially the same stuff, I guess, that Doughboy said before.
According to Peter, yeah.
See, this is why I do nicknames. Nicknames are so much easier for me to remember. I can remember Doughboy and Little Willie, but I can't even remember what their actual names are. But yeah, so this pisses off Doughboy even more. And I'm going to let you take it away so I don't keep calling him Doughboy. But
all right. So they do and then they get back into their little fight that they pretty much had last week. Same kind of bullshit fight where they're just yelling stupid insults at each other. Like, you wish you had my pizza boy money. Like, if you saw the checks that I was cashing, like you wish you had my mouth. Like,
wait, but this was like after they had done like the gladiator stuff as well, and on the date. So
they were put up against each other to fight. Per typical Bachelor fashion, we have to at least see some sort of like boxing, gladiator fighting style.
Well, they usually do this type of stuff when they know they have like a beef that two people want to fight each other like physically, and they'll put them in a physical thing, and it just makes the tone of the show be like, yikes, you know. But
yeah, and Will beat Peter in that too. Yeah. Like Peter talks big smack, and then so Will gets the Maverick role. Like the guys, the hot Top Gun actor guys get to pick who is the Maverick from the challenge. So he gets like an extra 5 minutes to look around like the old cars and the planes and whatever with Michelle.
And he gets a bomber jacket.
Yeah. Which, so now they go into like the cocktail portion of the date, and you know, everybody, they're just yelling at each other across from the couch.
Peter was like telling Will, like, you don't want to see when Big Dog comes out. I was like, dude, that's a chihuahua. Like, you know.
I know, with his fucking, like, his little, like, cardigan tied around his neck. Yeah, okay. Like,
that would be like me talking shit to somebody.
Last time I checked, yeah, for real though. Last time I checked, you just lost in the physical portion of this fight.
I know. It's like, dude, no, you're not fooling anyone. You know, so I guess, you know, Michelle's having a good time with everyone. And while everyone's kind of getting their chance with her, Peter takes Will's jacket that he won and throws it in the pool like a little child. And
I know, and everybody's all like, dude, really? Like, literally, the other dudes are so over this bullshit fight. They're mostly over Peter, but they're just over the drama in general. And Will gets super upset about it.
I would too, man. That's like emotional.
I would get upset too, but at least I have to give him credit that he didn't bring it up to Michelle. He wasn't going to like read on that.
I not only give him credit for that, but like it just also shows like the type of person he is. Like he like the guys were. He did it for the guys, the other guys. He didn't do it for himself. Like, maybe he did a little bit for himself because he didn't want to continue the drama, but they're just coming off another date where she got all upset, which will, you know, foreshadow to the later conversation. But, you know, the guys were like, dude, if you cannot tell, like, Michelle about this, like, you will be, like, the ultimate, like, hold it down guy. And he's just, like, walks off, and he does that. Like, he really doesn't bring it up, which, you know, bodes well actually for him. Like, you know, he you know, at the end of the day, like it works out for him. But I just thought that was a smooth move on his part to take a breath and actually, you know, hold it in, because he could have gone both ways, and I'm sure it would have been terrible for Peter if he told, you know. Michelle wouldn't have played with that. She's like, what are you, like one of my children that I teach in class? Like, what the hell?
Right.
So but Martin, I call him babyface Martin because he just looks like a child, and like, you know, a tall child or something. But he's
you think so? I just call him like Miami Vice, because he looks like a little Miami douchebag with the bleached hair and like the whole vibe.
Well, hold on, are you talking about Martin, like the kid that like he was talking about having braces? Or which one is Martin?
Martin's the one with the frosted tips.
Oh, like looking like okay, I'm getting the group roses confused. He's the one that looks like he's like a reggaeton artist or something like that. Yeah. So he's smooth as hell too. I think, you know, Michelle really likes his confidence.
Yeah. And well, he pulled her aside at the beginning of the date, like at the way beginning, just to like check in on her, because obviously like she was still a little like iffy about like how people, you know, perceived her based on, you know, the end of last week's episode being all like, my character's in question. He like reassured her that like, you know, he was excited to be there for her, blah, blah, blah. And that went a long way. And like, he was actually very surprising, like in his little one-on-one time with her during the cocktail party. You know, he was very smooth, but very like open, and like showed some depth. Like, I was extremely surprised, which just goes to show you can't judge a book by its cover.
Never that.
Because he looks like a real douche canoe.
Yeah. So let's move on to the most boring part of the episode, the one-on-one
which was
date.
This one-on-one date with Rodney, known for being the apple and known for not knowing apples from each other from when they, you know, did some taste testing last episode. he proclaims himself to be a dark horse. The other dudes kind of proclaim him to be a dark horse. You know, they're like, he thinks he's in the friend zone. Michelle said some things about like how he now is part of this date, made it out of the friend zone.
Well, when
they
he
do
kissed
some
her,
like
he reminds me of the one from the last season of Bachelorette that came out in the balls in the truck and was on Bachelor in Paradise dating Taj. What's his name? So easily we forget these guys. That was just the last show we covered. But
I know, what was his name?
But you
he
know
was
what I'm
dating?
talking about. But yeah, anyways, he reminds me of that, you know, where he's like a nice enough guy, like he's gonna make some woman happy, but he's not gonna make a lead of his show happy one day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to be like number one for her. I think he proved himself worthy, that he's one of the good ones. He listened to her talk about, you know, some racist situations she's dealt with in Minnesota. They do some more food, like they do Truth and Dare, and they do more food tasting and shit. Like that food looked like it had been out forever. Like I'm done with the food challenges. Can we stop with the food? Like it's gross and weird. But
I mean, he's definitely fun. Like, you know, those are the ones that you keep around in the beginning to kind of like, you know, whenever you need, you're having a bad time, you bring this guy in to make you smile, like, you know. But,
yeah, he streaked around the very large staircase that they have in their resort.
Yeah. Yeah, that was embarrassing. I can't believe they made him do that. Well, anyways, moving along, the next group date ends up coming along, and this is slam poetry.
It's some poetry. They have to write some poems. This is who you're referring to. You're referring to Brandon. Brandon is like the opener for this poetry date. He starts it off, brings her on stage.
Yes, babyface Brandon. That's it. That's what I meant.
Babyface Brandon.
Yeah.
That's a good way to remember him for you.
You.
He does really well. Some of the other guys seemingly do a good job too. They once again kind of barely show anybody else like their poems. They kind of just rush through them. The entire time we're getting
I
this
wanted to
vibe
see the poem for the guy that like was excited to see the poem guy, that like the guest host or whatever that came.
I think that was like Casey or somebody. I don't remember who was excited.
I mean, he was like tripping about him. Like, you know, and I felt like they made the date for him, if anything. What does he do? Like, does he do like spoken word poetry or something too?
I don't know.
But yeah, so that was interesting. But the big part that came out of it was
that Jamie, the entire time, kind of like on the side in his little interviews going into the date, his typical cocky self. He's all like, why am I even here with these fools? Like, I'm whatever. And then his poem is seemingly, the guys are calling it like a TED Talk. They're all like, this has nothing to do with Michelle. It
was like a parable. Like, you know, this is really annoying because, like, you know, he got definitely cocky for getting the first one-on-one date. What, right?
Right.
Was that it? And then, you know, I just can't, I don't understand when people like get such an ego about themselves, but they have no self-awareness how they're coming off. And he was like, I lost my poem. Like, what did he say? Like,
I don't even know. It was something along those lines. He's like, I'm going to tell this story instead, or like whatever. And I'm like,
and that's that. Like, he thought it was a great story. I'm like, this is a dumbass story. And anyways,
I'll be honest, I totally zoned out.
Yeah. I hate that guy. He's the worst.
He's the worst. And he then even, you just see his true colors because you see like,
well, they go on the group date after, or the cocktail portion of the group date, and you know, like then this is where Brandon kind of shines. He like steps up, and you know, he's just like he's like nice to look at, he's nice to listen to and stuff. And after that, actually we skipped the part where Michelle tells her poem, and I didn't want to skip it because like
it's really good.
It's really good. You know, I'm sure a lot of people like from the show and people that were watching the show like myself, you know, really resonated with that type of stuff where like, you know, we're not out here claiming like everyone's racist or anything like that. But like certain people that like are of color grow up in areas where there's not many people of color, not just like your color or not just people in general. And growing up in that, you kind of form to society. And she says like, you know, I was, you know, picked last for prom, but picked first for basketball. You know, I was with all the cool kids in high school as long as I, you know, acted like them. And, and you act like them because you're around them, and it's just kind of like, and they forget that sometimes that you are different. So, it really resonated with me. I thought it was like a beautiful thing. I didn't feel like she was making it sound like poor me or anything like that. It's just
of course not. No,
it's hard to explain that to people sometimes without them being like, well, you grew up great, right? Like everything was fine. You didn't get made fun of. It's like, you don't know, you wouldn't understand. And that's why I thought it was important to, make sure we talked about it. And it really resonated with babyface Brandon as well too, because, I'm not sure of his race, but he's definitely light skinned. He mentioned that, and I'm guessing that means that one of his parents are, of African descent or something. But I honestly don't know. I think a lot of guys were going up to her and saying like, that's how I felt like, growing up, or this is how, being just different. And that one really stood out to her, and he ends up getting the rose, and this just sends Jamie off.
This is his second group date rose that he's gotten too.
Yes, I mean he stands out. He's just, like I said, I think he's just a very likable person.
I like him.
Yeah,
he's
like smiling. He doesn't make it too serious. He's got a nice like angelic like uptone voice and stuff. So it's just like, I get why he's getting roses left and right. But this really pisses off Jamie. Like instantly, all the guys are going back after the date to the hotel, and Jamie pulls his producer to the side, and he's still mic'd, and he's going off. Like, what are some of the things he's saying?
He's like, he's like, me against someone like Brandon. Like, I'm not even in the same, like, spirit. Like, I'm not even in the same league. Like, this is really, like, the kind of cast. Like, what about these? Like, what was, like, the rest of this casting? Like, how am I even, like, with this kind of group of guys? Yeah, I thought this was,
like, a nationwide search for a casting.
Yeah, he's all like. Where
are you guys getting these guys? After you just lost to somebody. I thought I would be with
a better group of guys. And I was like, whoa. Bro. And then he well,
first of all, I want to say before that too, like when he interacted with Michelle, it was very creepy. Like I didn't like the way he was like touching her. I didn't like the way he was looking at her, or laughing at her and stuff. So he's just like too much. And then eventually he was like saying like, what is she? She's in like the spring break portion.
Yeah, he's all like, I feel like she's not even serious. Like, I can't believe I have to wait like 6 weeks just to like whatever.
Yeah,
like,
he was
blah,
like,
blah,
she's in spring break mode right now. Like, what I'm saying? It's like spring break mode. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's literally kicked guys out of here for like, for things and
for
stuff.
less, my dude. Like,
and so, the walls start to kind of crumble a little bit, because the guys are still kind of concerned about last week about how someone in the group had mentioned, and they're like, this doesn't make any sense. A smart play, somebody, I forgot who it was, goes up to her and asks her straight up, like,
Rick. It was Rick.
It was Rick. And was this during the group date?
No, this was during the like cocktail-ish portion before the rose ceremony. Yeah. Before she cancels the rest of the cocktail portion, where he, brings up to her, like, hey, like,
the house wasn't questioning your anything.
We want to know, like, where did this come from? Like, we're all so confused. And she rats Jamie out right away. She's like, Jamie said this or that. And Rick's like, what?
Yeah, I know. He must have been like, I just cracked this vault. He's cracked the safe.
Well, and then, so then they're all kind of talking and whatever. And, like, the couple of them, and Jamie's talking to a couple of them. And Jamie's, like, talking about, like, well, I brought it up to her because, like, the viewers and, like, with the episodes and, like, blah, blah. And, like, Nayte and other people are all like, fuck the viewers, fuck the episodes. Why the hell are you talking about that?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this is just another person that's like trying to think about how he looks on the show as opposed to just trying to be a good person for Michelle. And so it starts cracking. Jamie's spinning in circles with his excuses. He's saying like he was in his room, so he doesn't know who said it, but there was a character being like he's making up like a monster. Like,
right. And then Michelle is brought in, and she is all like, she's like, what's the vibe? Why is everybody like, let's vibe check here? Why? Because like all the dudes have been like discussing with Jamie, as Jamie's all like pretty much like deflecting, saying this whole bullshit about like, well, this was all swirling around. I was doing it for the best intentions, like blah, blah, blah. And like, they're like, what's the vibe? And Jamie's all like, well, based on our conversation, blah, blah, blah. And she's all like, based on our conversation, you said your friend saw me leaving some bar with some light-skinned dude. And then, you pulled it into this whole thing.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know.
I mean,
like,
it really is that. Like the second that she was told that Jamie, like the rest of the house wasn't like questioning her integrity or anything like that, she instantly was like, well, that kind of just makes it all like kind of red flags since then. Like she just thinks about every moment with Jamie and she's like, red flag, red flag. Even the conversation of me being with a light, like what the hell? Like your friend saw me walk out of a bar with a light-skinned dude, and this, what the hell? I can walk out with any dude I want to. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, like,
You know,
she's like, why was this
completely
detail
manipulated
necessary?
the situation to make like everyone, you know, is going to suffer from that. So she ends up just walking him out. And yeah, down goes Jafar.
Well, and he like, in the way that he was like, his facial expressions, he was acting like, you know, he's all like, well, I was just, you know, this character. And she's like, I don't know what character you're talking about, my dude.
Oh,
like,
I know. I
he's
love
all
seeing
like,
how
I was
stupid
trying to
he
be
felt
proactive.
in the
she's
van
like,
home.
your
He was,
proactiveness made nothing.
I know.
Like, it made...
He on the van home, he was just making the dumbest faces and stuff. And it's just like, you could tell he's just an idiot. So, I mean, it is, but one villain goes home, another one will pop up. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so anyways, that happens. You know, that's pretty much the majority of the drama of what happened in this episode. Then the rose ceremony happens, and some people, a lot of people actually go home. Right? Like
Malik, who I loved, goes home. Spencer, who I don't really remember, goes home. LT, who I think is supposedly Clint Eastwood's like secret grandson or something, went home.
Wow.
And then Peter, Doughboy Pizza Boy Peter, goes home because he really was only stuck around just for the additional drama. Like, we know that. Like, there's no way. Like, him and Michelle had no like real connection. So I'm happy that he just went home and it was like kind of like, all right, see you later. Wasn't some sort of huge ordeal over a jacket.
Yeah,
So thank God.
For sure. I mean, that's just karma. Beautifully written. So, what we got some scenes from next week's episode. What does it look like? It looks like we still got some drama coming out, some similar drama.
It looks like, I think this guy Chris, who I think he was the one with.
He's like a white boy, right?
Yeah, he's a white boy. I forget like how he entered, but he like did something cute. It seems like he's gonna be like the next snake that they're gonna catch. Like, he seems like, you know,
It looked like he said
it looks
something.
like he's gonna try to take on some like the Nates and stuff who are like top
No.
contenders.
There's no taking on Nayte right now. Nayte is like
Nate is a top contender. He like took Michelle and like they ran away from like, you know, all the bullshit of
He's
like
tall.
the pre
Yeah,
ceremony
He's
and like
funny,
whatever.
He's well spoken, and I think what ends up happening is that guy says like, he's like, some people think they got it in the bag or something like that. Like, people are something like that, right? Like, where it'd be like, there's some people here that think they're going all the way, and that kind of like causes like a ruckus in the house. Like, dude, why do you have to say that? Like, who are you talking about? It's always their own insecurities that come out, and they kind of direct it at the rest of the group. Like, so, because they have nothing else to talk about when they talk about with Michelle. And it looked like he did it during a Cheers or something like that too. So at least he did it in front of the guys, if it looked like that from the previews. But so far, some good drama coming out of even first 3 episodes. So good for that. I'm really enjoying Michelle's season so far. You know, I know it's for love, but, you know, I really can't, like, that middle part where the guy, you know, got the one-on-one date. Like, yes, good for him. He's a nice guy and stuff like that. But I just can't believe it that this guy is going to, you know, make it far. I don't feel like I really see their connection. So that's why.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither. I think he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
I could totally see him
nothing
being
against
like
him. It's just like
a hot commodity on Paradise if he were to make it a Paradise, you know?
Sure. Well, that's kind of our review of the Bachelor, a Bachelorette this week. What do we have? Any other Bachelor Nation news?
Yeah, Katie had just like did a little video on Instagram this past week going a little bit more in depth about her breakup with Blake, and, you know, how they realized during their 6 months together that they're like, you know, she's like, we didn't want to wait for like, well, maybe once we get married, it'll get better. Maybe once whatever, like, it'll get better. Like, she just realized that, you know, for their happiness, they weren't compatible, which we as viewers knew that. Like, what? Like,
and and also I saw like they looked like they had the same. Was that the meme you put out?
I did.
Yeah.
It was, they had the same, which I think I talked about last week when we talked about how they broke up, but like, yeah, they released with the same exact statement.
Yeah.
So,
That post was like, I'll be sending like topics to the to the face or to our Instagram, and I didn't even look like at that it was our own post. I was about to send it to ourselves, being like, "No, it's a good one. That's funny, right?" And we already were on it, so yeah, shared accounts, But anyways, anything else, or it's pretty much it?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. The drama in Bachelor Nation has been pretty low while Bachelorette's been on, but I'm sure it'll bubble back up here soon.
Future Bachelor Podcast.